Oliver Tree has returned with a brand new single, and it's called Superhero. This has come with an announcement of an album that's going to come out next year, which is called Love You Madly, Hate You Badly, which is a pretty Oliver Tree-like way of calling anything, to be honest. I'm actually a really big fan of Oliver Tree. I can't quite put my finger on exactly what it is about him I find so appealing. He's interesting. He really is. He's naturally hilarious. His music does, I mean, I hear it described as genre bending, which I think is occasionally an overused term. But to be fair, in the case of Oliver Tree, it kind of does. He has managed to reinvent himself several times over the last few years. He was on a stint of releasing stuff like quite frequently for a while. He dropped his first 3 albums concurrently, right? One year after the other. We had Ugly is Beautiful, which actually, to be fair, started in 2020. I don't know that one that well. It's got the Life Goes On and On and On and On and On one, which honestly is one of those songs that I think probably because it was overplayed and used on social media, I think a lot of people find irritating. But, you know, in a vacuum, I don't hate it, to be honest. It's not my favourite of his work. The whole album's quite kind of poppy and sort of, yeah, it's got that kind of vibe to it. And then he followed it up with Cowboy Tears, and this is the point where I jumped on the train. I saw him do a couple of crossover episodes with like H3. I found the cowboy outfit really funny with the little glasses and so on and so forth. And actually, this album is great. I really like pretty much all of it. Cowboys Don't Cry obviously is great. Swing and a Miss is great. Freaks and Geeks is good. Cigarettes is great, etc. That album's awesome. And then he released Alone in a Crowd, which is quite a strange one, again, with a completely new visual style. Now he kind of looks a bit more like Edna Mode. He's got the bowl cut back. It's a bit shorter. He's got this kind of like strange, I don't know, super villain-esque kind of costume going on there. And again, I actually really like that album. It's not, to me, as good. I think it's just because the thing about Cowboy Tears is that album really did lean into a kind of more country vibe, which is more my thing. Interestingly, again, he released a second version of Cowboy Tears called Cowboy Tears Drown the World in a Swimming Pool of Sorrow. That one featured a couple more tracks on it, including songs like Placeholder, and that is where we come to today, because Superhero definitely feels like it leans more into his kind of like grungier, more alternative rock roots, which is really interesting. It's nice he's kind of come back around, because that's where my taste tends to sit for the most part. So it's kind of interesting to see him cycle around and just, he's so flexible. And I didn't realize until comparatively recently that I'm pretty sure he writes and records and plays like every aspect of this stuff himself when you know, the albums are in production, which is also quite, you know, it's a difficult thing to do, to be honest. To write good parts for every instrument in the thing is difficult, especially spanning that many genres. In fact, I saw Oliver Tree live on the tour for Alone in a Crowd. To start with, it was great. He's extremely charismatic. He's sort of like constantly bigging himself up and talking, you know, this is my last ever tour, and, you know, I've done this and that, you know, ridiculous stuff. But it really is kind of like a multimedia experience. Kind of had a bunch of pre-recorded skits that were kind of like flipping between. He kind of distinctly went between all of the eras of the albums. He played them, you know, basically concurrently, which was good and bad, because it did mean I didn't know a whole lot for the first third of the set. But still, the band were great. He was very funny, and then funnily enough, he's also the only in-life celebrity encounter I've had. I bumped into Oliver Tree in London, like, maybe 2 weeks after I saw him. I was in London to go see a different gig. I was seeing Cheek Face with my friend Alex, and whilst I was, you know, heading off to a bar to meet him, I was like, there's a guy in the crowd in front of me. He's got Oliver Tree hair. That's an interesting look. And I got close, I was like, wait a second. That is Oliver Tree. And I couldn't resist. I was like, hey, man, you Oliver Tree? He's like, yeah, dude. And, you know, we had a shoot. It was like literally at a crossing light. One of my biggest regrets is I didn't ask him for a picture. But part of me also thinks that maybe the interaction was way more wholesome. I just told him I liked his music, and I'd seen him a while ago, and it was really good, and I was a big fan, and that was kind of it. And then I crossed the road, so did he. Interesting experience. I'm a big fan of the guy. I just like all of the different aspects of it. And in true Oliver Tree fashion, I found a news article talking about this release and this album, and it's so difficult to tell with him where the line is and what is real and what is not real, because every time he does a podcast interview, depending on who he's with, if you've ever seen him on the episode of Impulsive, to start with, not a Logan Paul fan over here, but Oliver Tree runs goddamn rings around him. He's got his own sub-brand of called Slime, not Prime.
You want some Prime hydration?
I got my own shit.
Motherfucker.
Oh, there's no
Motherfucker.
Slime. I'm on that shit. I got slime, bro.
It's really funny. I'd recommend it. Even, yeah, well, you know, I was going to say maybe don't give Logan Paul the view, but maybe it's worth it for the sake of Oliver Tree. But anyway, so he says the upcoming record was reportedly recorded over 2 years across 7 continents and 80 countries from Africa to China to Afghanistan in what Tree describes as his most daring musical experiment yet. Superhero was entirely written and produced by Tree. The initial version was laid down in Cape Town, South Africa, with guitar and bass sessions taking place in London. Tree later reworked the song in San Salvador, El Salvador, before finishing additional instrumentation in Los Angeles. The result is a track that sounds both global and distinctly his own. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's 100% not true, but you just gotta respect the commitment to just being a bullshit artist, but he's like one of the best for doing that. Also, his music videos are usually quite fun to watch. I have heard the song a few times now, so I could sort of preempt my thoughts a little bit, but I've not seen the video yet. But generally speaking, they're usually pretty charismatic, they're well shot, they're kind of funny. So yeah, screw it, let's jump in and listen through to Superhero, the official, unofficial music video, because literally nothing he does can ever be quite simple. It's such a weird one. It's so difficult to tell whether Oliver Tree is like a good singer. I mean, being a good singer, like, you know, from a technical perspective, doesn't necessarily preclude you from being a good musician or making good music. But, you know, we're talking like Pavarotti versus Anthony Kiedis, for example, is an interesting comparison. He hits those notes. They're quite high, actually. I think he's getting better. He's getting slightly more ambitious with his vocal performances as he goes, which I like. And also, if you can't tell by now, the alternative rock kind of like chunky power chords in the background kind of really places this one near, no pun intended, placeholder as a sort of like musical route for his sort of like, you know, basic comparison, I guess. Man, it's like he's always evolving his view slightly. I like the long hair more, but the gold teeth are a nice addition. He's just like such a strange looking guy. I mean, he does it on purpose. I get the feeling if he shed all the gimmicks, he'd look really, really normal, but he just puts so much effort into not looking normal. And yeah, always wearing these outlandish costumes and stuff like that. I respect it again that he doesn't try and look pretty. See, here's where it gets interesting, because it feels like this chorus is definitely actually more along the lines of his other work, his older stuff. It's more Alone in the Crowd, it's more first album, it's got that really sort of thick, synth-heavy, sort of anthemic pop sound to the chorus. He's sort of going, again, with this kind of like repetitive, hey, hey, hey. It's sort of like easy to sing along with. It's definitely, I mean, it's very rich sound-wise, but it almost doesn't match the verses, but it does. I don't know why. It's like mixed well enough, or the sort of the way that the timbres of the various instruments carry across means it does feel like a coherent piece of art. But this chorus is definitely a kind of hybrid sound, which I actually really, really like. And it's kind of interesting. So now we've gone back into this second verse, and it's actually, again, it's evolved sonically from the previous one. I think quietly mixed in the background there, you can now hear a piano line kind of plinking along. It's kind of like bringing this slightly more languid feel to it. It's less like kind of chunky alt rock, and it's kind of like more, well, yeah, I guess still alternative rock, but more pop influence, surprisingly enough. But it kind of softens it out a little bit. I really like the contrast. Also, I'm not gonna lie, the hand face thing is like kind of horrific. And here's another really interesting musical turn here, is that this chorus had a big, you know, a drum lead in, and actually the drums have gone double time, the guitar chords underneath there are going pretty fat power chords, and they're doubling time as well, and now the chorus is more rocky than the previous verse. They've swapped. The first verse was way more rocky, very poppy chorus, and now we've inverted it for the second time round, which is so clever. It's something I wouldn't think about doing, which I guess maybe you have to start kind of merging stuff like that to get to that point. But it's so clever. And admittedly, the music video is like, it almost follows the Baby No Money school of just like set up like 5 or 6 shots in various outrageous costumes or whatever, and then just kind of film yourself doing the film, you know, doing the entire song multiple times and kind of cutting between them. But he's charismatic enough to be able to pull that off, and the sets are funny. The costume's good. It's quite engaging. It's just him being an utter, well, probably, no, he's just him having fun, right? Oh, it's so gross. Aha, okay. So now we've got, that's so weird. The first, well, I guess the second chorus essentially functions as a pre-chorus, even though you get a whole one, but it's much faster. And then that really, really, really delicious fat synth bass line kind of comes chugging on in through afterwards, and you got it. Everything slows down to halftime again, and we're getting this more, you know, the same as the first time round. It's the structure of this song is surprisingly, deceptively interesting. Also, shaving himself in the car whilst driving. It looks somewhat real. It's kind of funny. It's pretty creative. Also, I find the lyrics to be sort of quite wholesome. They've actually always been sweeter than you'd think, with the exception of the occasional song like, you know, Cigarettes or Bounce or something like that. But generally speaking, I feel like there's a level of positivity that you don't quite realize on a surface level, because everything he does seems kind of sarcastic and dry and a bit strange, a bit cynical. But actually, I feel like the message of this song is predominantly about sort of like embracing your eccentricities, right? And just being bizarre because you want to be, which again, actually thinking about it now, is kind of reflected in the music video too, where even though on its face it sort of looks like him just kind of like dicking around, for want of a better term, it's actually, I guess, maybe a sort of an allegory for really like just being yourself, which I respect that. I like that. I think it's a good thing to put out into the world. Okay. That's really weird, because that feels like the little drum beat on the way in is actually like a synth drum. Also, what is with the feet? I get he's probably doing like an internet meme thing, right? Like feet is it's kind of funny as well as being kind of gross. I don't know. I mean, I'm really, really not a foot guy. So maybe that will inform my opinion on that one. But yeah, you know, the baked beans and the nail clippers and stuff like that. It's, God damn it. I feel like I'm watching a Tarantino film. Oh, no. No, bro. I feel like that was one take, right? That's pretty fucking grim, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I've got a fairly good stomach for the gross stuff, but that's fucking grim, man. It's kind of, I will say that maybe after this time of getting into this chorus, it's like edging on a bit repetitive, and it's purely by virtue of the fact that we're getting the pre-chorus and the chorus one after the other, and they're quite similar, well, at least lyrically, right? The melody is kind of the same. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely built to be anthemic. It's built to be in a crowd where you all do this at the same time, and I'm sure that's really great. And honestly, if I wasn't like sitting here really trying to break down and analyze it as I'm going, I probably wouldn't have even noticed, but it is starting to edge on repetitive to me just a smidge. Luckily, the music video is also pretty compelling, and now he's running through the field with a shotgun. Cool. Nice. Aha, here we go. See, now that's some nice overdubbing. That big choral background there, the backing vocals all doing this kind of thing it's really nice. Again, that's something I can really see being very, very effective in a crowd. It thickens out the already very thick texture to a point where it feels all-consuming. Like, honestly, you stick the bass right up and pump this song up, and it will feel like it's your entire world for a second. And again, I quite like it sort of complemented by his kind of like pick up in energy as well towards the end. Fuck's sake. Okay. And I think this is sort of a throwback to the intro, with the way that those guitar chords are kind of like thinned out again, and it's still kind of like sliding between a few of them, and he's doing a slightly more passive vocal line, I guess. And now it's been used as an outro. He just kind of hunting himself. That was great. I really liked that. I knew I liked it beforehand, but seeing it with the visuals has really cemented that. Oliver Tree is so goddamn unpredictable. Whenever he releases something new, I take a second to go, I really hope he hasn't like suddenly gone down some random rabbit hole of a music genre that I'm less fond of. I'm sure there is always going to be somebody who is a fan of the various genres he tackles with, but this one's worked really nicely for me. I really like the throwback stuff. It feels to me like, well, he's, God, actually, no, I think Oliver Tree's like younger than me, is he? Or he's my age, maybe, which makes me so depressed. No, he's like 2 years older than me. God damn it, he's so successful. But anyway, he's like, you know, just about a kind of 90s baby-ish. So you can kind of feel this old school, kind of like early noughties, emo, kind of like punk rocky influence come through. And it feels really genuine. It feels like he's mimicking the music he likes himself, but with this kind of interesting modern club sort of inspired sort of like combination with there. Because as far as I'm aware, before he struck out as a full kind of like musician, he was a DJ, and I think he was kind of planning on being a DJ. Again, he said this in a podcast, so I have no idea if it's true. You know, he also said that he almost got arrested whilst having a bad trip and running around outside Burning Man naked, which might also be true. I believe it or I don't. It's really hard to tell with him, but either way, I definitely feel that influence coming in here with the way the chorus is put together. It's produced really nicely, like the actual, just the quality of all the tones being used, the way that it fills out the sort of the every part of the stereosphere of your ears. It's really, really nice. It's quite catchy. It borderlines on being a bit repetitive, but I get the feeling that actually most of the time that won't be an issue. It's not actually a very long song. It's only 3 minutes 17. So yeah, I know. Long may it continue. I'm really looking forward to this. I like seeing them on videos. I'd love to see him live again. Me and my girlfriend are both big fans. So yeah, cool. Let me know in the comments, what do you guys think? What's your favorite era of Oliver Tree? Mine is definitely at the moment still going to be Cowboy Tears, but who knows, maybe this new album that comes out next year will be sort of like, you know, even closer to my heart. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Thank you very much for watching. Like, share, subscribe, all of that crazy stuff, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. And my light just went out. Peace.